Denise, Denise, it's Denise, it's Denise, it's Denise, Denise, it's a podcast party, it's a podcast party, it's a podcast party. I gotta say, I feel like we're besties now after this. What's up, guys? It's Denise Salcedo. What is up, everyone? Welcome to Speak Now Pro Wrestling. I'm Denise Salcedo, and today we are going to be chatting about the November 17th edition of AEW Dynamite. That is right, the fallout from AEW Full Gear. Also celebrating National Cowboy Shit Day with our brand new AEW World Champion, Adam Page. We had a very, very fun show here tonight. I gotta say, I thought AEW Dynamite felt very strong tonight, and it felt just as hot as, coming off of AEW Full Gear. You're expecting a hot show to kind of keep that momentum going, and I think they definitely did that today. One of the things that we saw throughout the entire show tonight was teases for lots of feuds, teases for some upcoming feuds, things that they might be ready to go towards, stuff that they're definitely going towards already. So we got a lot of really good stuff to talk about here tonight. An awesome main event and so much more. So we're going to get to that in just a second. But before we do, I want to welcome each and every single person that is watching this show. Friendly reminder, this is a very interactive stream, so you are more than welcome to take part in the chat. Leave your opinions, your thoughts, your jokes, whatever you have for me. Go ahead and leave those in the chat. Additionally, if you want to get your comment, question, or statement read on this show, you can go ahead and send in a super chat. If you do send in a super chat, your comment does get read on the show. Additionally, I do get to keep 100% of all the proceeds from all super chats. Thank you so much to F4W, who allows me to keep any and all proceeds from my super chats. So if you guys want to help me out, that is a great way to keep me funded and keep me here. We don't want any budget cut stuff. Anyways, but we're going to get going with the show. We're going to recap everything chronologically and go through things that way. But before we do, I do want to kick things off by getting some of your thoughts in terms of how you felt about the show overall. Let me know, what were some of your favorite things? And then we're going to go ahead and jump into everything in a very nice chronological format. And here we go. Let's start with some comments here. This one is from Leonard, who says, it's something when even next week's pre-Thanksgiving show looks like it's going to be a banger. Tonight's was outstanding. Danielson healing it up. Chef's kiss. Dude, I just realized that next week is Thanksgiving. So thanks a lot, because I had completely forgotten that Thanksgiving is next week. Let's see what we got here. The Cooge97 says crowd booing Danielson and cheering Hangman and Evil Uno during his match with Danielson was everything. The way they kicked off AEW Dynamite was very, very hot. Probably one of my favorite ways that they have kicked off AEW Dynamite. We got a comment from Major Blood, who says, overall, the show was pretty good. I'd give it a 7.5 or an 8 out of 10. Yeah, I could agree with that rating. Let's see what we got here. I'm going to read a couple more comments and then we'll get into this. We got some more people sending in some ratings. Sam3 says 8 out of 10. Only problem is the deep run-in at the commercial break and Sammy's hurt ribs during picture-in-picture. We'll talk about that momentarily as well. Devin says that this is the best Dynamite since Grand Slam, and that's really saying something. I thought the Dynamite before AEW Full Gear, everybody really loved that show too. And I'm pretty sure we've had some really good other shows. I just can't think of them right now. But I think in terms of memorable shows, obviously that Grand Slam one was very memorable. So it's easy to kind of forget a lot of the stuff in between because they weren't as heavily promoted as Grand Slam. But this one was definitely, up there. I'm very confident to say that today's show was a very, very good show here. But let's do this, everybody. We're already getting questions. Michael Jefferson says, I know it's likely Bryan's idea, but I think it's just too early to turn Bryan. So let's talk about this opening segment, everybody. We had Hangman Adam Page coming out, and he is obviously our new AEW World Champion. He is celebrating National Cowboy Shit Day, or like JR says, Shitsnits Day. However you feel most comfortable saying it. We were celebrating National Cowboy Shit Day, and this was very, very fun. I gotta really put over the way they opened up this week's show, because I was hanging on to every single little thing. So we already knew that Bryan Danielson, after defeating Miro at Full Gear, was going to be the number one contender. And then Hangman Page ends up winning the title, thus becoming the new champion. So you know automatically you're going to be getting, at some point in time, Bryan Danielson versus Adam Page. So during the post-media scrum, they talked about it. Adam Page basically said, you know what, like, I know I said that Kenny Omega was the best in the world, but damn, now I got to go up against Bryan Danielson. I don't want to think about it too much because I just won this thing, but he, obviously did mention that Bryan Danielson is going to be a tough opponent to beat. Bryan Danielson, when he was out there talking about Adam Page, he was basically saying how, like, he really became this big star, et cetera, and all of that. So I kind of felt that for the most part, Bryan Danielson and Adam Page at the post-media scrum weren't necessarily really throwing shots at one another or anything like that. So I kind of thought it was going to be the kind of match that was, how do I say it? I was expecting it to be essentially I'm trying to think of a good example, and I do not have a good example right now. I thought it was just going to be a good match between two guys that are great competitors, and I thought that that's the way that they were going to treat the story. But instead, they had Bryan Danielson turn heel tonight, and I gotta say that I absolutely loved it. Now, I love Bryan Danielson as a babyface. I love Bryan Danielson as a heel, so I didn't necessarily hate it. I saw a couple of people that thought that it was too soon to turn Bryan Danielson, but I don't think so. And the reason why I do not think that it's too soon to turn Bryan Danielson a heel, the reason for that is he's the number one contender. He's going up against Hangman Adam Page, who is definitely loved by the people. And right now, I think that you want to focus on continue to build Hangman Page as the strong babyface champion. And the people are going to boo Bryan Danielson right off the bat because they want to cheer for Adam Page. So you kind of want to add to that a little bit more by having Bryan Danielson piss off the people. So I didn't necessarily hate that they turned Bryan Danielson heel in this. And I'll talk about that a little bit more because there was so much that happened throughout this segment. But we do got a super chat from Reggie Simmons who says, going to the show in Chicago next week. The only sad part is I will have to watch your show on replay. It's okay, man. As long as you watch the show, thumbs up. We got another super chat from Riven Blade, Wrestle Vibes YouTube, who says, thanks for putting in the work, Denise. Respect. I appreciate it. Thank you for sending in a super chat. So let's get into the cream of what happened in this segment. Let's get into the details here because this was good stuff. So Hangman Page comes out and he's wearing this Virginia is for Lovers t-shirt. Virginia is his home state. I've never been to Virginia. I didn't know Virginia is for Lovers was a thing, but I know now, and now I want to go to Virginia. So shout out to all the Virginians. Is that what you call people from Virginia? Virginians? I don't know. Anyway, so he comes out and the crowd is chanting that, they're chanting, you deserve it, blah, 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 right? You deserve it. Okay, great. And then Hangman Page basically says, all right, everybody, I'm going to stop you right there. And he says, I didn't deserve it. I effing earned it. And I thought, hell freaking yes. Finally, someone says it. Like, I've always liked the you deserve it chants, and I get why the fans do it. I've done it. I've chanted it at shows, but I prefer the you earned it chants. And then the people started chanting you earned it. And I was like, hell yeah. Finally, I like the fact that they sort of, rephrase that entire chant there. But anyways, Hangman Page starts talking to the people, basically saying that at the end of the day, he's still a man and that he's a man with a job and that he only has one boss, and the boss being the fans, and he's going to do what the fans essentially want him to do, etc. So then Bryan Danielson comes out right after this. He comes out and he starts to kind of throw a shot at Hangman Page. And he did this also in the media press thingy after the show. He did say that a little part of him was upset that Hangman Page was the one that took the belt off of Kenny Omega. He said that he was jealous. He said, I don't have that much jealousy in me, but I was jealous that Hangman Page was the one to take off the belt off of Kenny Omega. So then he comes in here today and he basically looks at Hangman Page and he tells him, I'm a little disappointed that, here I am as the number one contender, but across from me is not Kenny Omega, which was a big time shot at Hangman Page. If I'm Hangman Page, I'm going to be freaking pissed off that this guy in front of me just said that he wishes I was somebody else. So granted, Adam Page comes in with his own burial and he basically tells him that he throws a shot at Bryan Danielson and he tells him, hey, I was able to beat Kenny Omega in under 30 minutes. And that was essentially him throwing a shot at Bryan Danielson for not being able to defeat Kenny Omega when he had the chance and going to that time limit draw. So I really liked that subtle attention to detail. I thought that was really phenomenal. And then Bryan goes on to say, look, dude, I didn't want to start beef with you. But at the same time, I'm not somebody that dresses up like a Ghostbuster, throwing a shot at Kenny Omega for that, what many people thought was a goofy segment. And then he says, it looks to me like cowboy shit doesn't involve wrestling. I wrestle every week and you're just here flapping your gums. And then he kind of surprises people. I know he surprised me a little bit because Bryan Danielson then tells Hangman Adam Page, when I won the world championship at WrestleMania, I wrestled the very next day. And then the crowd just starts booing massively at Bryan Danielson. And I think they're booing because just of the mention that he even mentioned WrestleMania, I think really got under people's skin. And then he goes, of course, Virginia would boo hard work, etc. And then Bryan Danielson continues to bury Hangman Page. They brawl, they get pulled apart, and then the crowd starts chanting, let them fight. And Bryan Danielson says that the Dark Order is holding them back because they know that he would kick Adam Page's butt. And so Adam Page just goes freaking pissed and runs straight towards them. This was freaking great. I really liked this. And one of the things that I particularly liked about this is that in the beginning, you saw Bryan Danielson sort of not underestimate Hangman Page per se, but really disrespect him in the sense that he was saying that he wished it was Kenny Omega and not him. And then by the end of this whole thing, Bryan Danielson had turned heel. Bryan Danielson had really gotten under the skin of Hangman Page. And I also think that this was a really good way to just move on to the next thing. This is the next thing, and we are moving on to it. One of the things I do not like is when things take too long to move on to something. If there's, I don't like the, for certain stories, especially given that we already knew that Bryan Danielson was going to be the number one contender, I thought it was really good that they got this heated up and they heated it up right away. So I definitely am not against Bryan Danielson turning heel, and I pretty much liked everything that they did in this segment. But now that I talked, I know we got several super chats, so I'm going to go ahead and start reading some of those here. We got a super chat from Jamie Guillen who says, beating Omega and Danielson as his first defense, surely a strong start for his run. 100%. I mean, this is somebody that the fans have been waiting to become AEW World Champion. And a lot of people thought that he was going to be champion way early on. However, Tony Khan did confirm in the media scrum that the first four champions that you saw in AEW were essentially the ones that he had wanted all along. So according to Tony Khan, it was never necessarily in the books to have Adam Page be the first or the second champion. It was always in the books for that to essentially happen later on, which was interesting because I think a lot of people were expecting it to happen a lot earlier. But according to Tony Khan, that was not necessarily his intentions there. We got another super chat from Reggie Simmons who says, one more point. AEW is trying to slowly change the heel babyface dynamic. Punk versus Darby, Kingston and Page versus Bryan. We're seeing that because with CM Punk and Eddie Kingston, I think so with MJF and Darby, MJF is the heel, right? He's the heel. But that night at AEW Full Gear, the crowd was really 50-50. They were sort of torn there on who to really cheer for. Eddie Kingston and CM Punk, obviously two fan favorites, so people were going to cheer for both of those guys. So again, it wasn't crystal clear, hey, this is the bad guy, this is the good guy, but I did not mind that whatsoever. And now we're moving on to this where Bryan Danielson is now a heel. So I do like that we're getting a little bit of everything here. So thank you to Reggie for sending in that super chat. We got another super chat from Gustavo Salcedo. Thank you so much to Gustavo, who says, love that Hangman insisted that the "you deserve it" chant stopped while MJF came out and immediately claimed to deserve the title. Dude, I didn't catch that, but thank you so much for bringing that up because that is a very, very strong point. So thank you so much to Gustavo for not only sending in a super chat, but for also making a great point. We have another super chat from Heel Turn who says, should MJF give CM Punk his first loss in AEW? All right. So I was going to save this until we talked about the CM Punk MJF situation, but because you sent a super chat, I'm going to address this right now, and I will explain more as we go on. So before we actually talk about that, I'm going to answer your question by saying there are two options in which they could go in with MJF right now. The two options are, okay, so we already know they're doing CM Punk MJF, right? But the two options there are, you either have, if you are planning for MJF to be Adam Page's next opponent at AEW Revolution, then you should definitely have him be the guy to beat CM Punk. If that's the case, if MJF is going to be Adam Page's opponent at AEW Revolution, then he should beat CM Punk. He should be the one to give him his first loss. Now, if he is not going to be Hangman Page's opponent at Revolution, then they should not have him be the one to pin CM Punk, and instead maybe have Wardlow come in and cost that match for MJF, thus moving MJF over to a feud with Wardlow, which they have been planting the seeds for a very long time now, a couple of months now or so. So I would say that those are two options in terms of where they can go with MJF and what happens with the CM Punk thing. So again, I'll talk about that more once we actually get to that segment, but I hope that was a good enough answer. Thank you so much to Heel Turn for sending in that super chat. We got another super chat from Dago787 who says, Bryan's heel turn makes sense to me because they have been building up to it since Eddie. Bryan is now the WWE guy versus the AEW guys. Interesting angle. Would you say so? Would you say? I don't necessarily see it that way. Am I missing something? I know he mentioned WrestleMania and all of that and having a match right afterwards and all of that, but I don't see him as the anti-AEW guy. That's not the way I see it, but interesting thought. Thank you so much for sending in a super chat as well. And I'm going to continue and catch up with some of these comments, guys. So give me a second. All right, cool. I'm caught up here. So we're going to go ahead and move on because right after this is sort of an extension of what happened in the opening segment. So obviously things got very heated with Bryan Danielson and with Hangman Adam Page. So it made sense that right into this, it got into that match with Evil Uno and Bryan Danielson. Right after the commercial, they're in there essentially beating each other's butts. And what I really liked about this is that Bryan Danielson was essentially letting out all of his anger, all of his frustrations from the previous segment onto Evil Uno. And so they could have easily just had Bryan Danielson just whoop Evil Uno's butt back and forth, up and down. You know, they could have easily done that. But instead, they had Evil Uno not necessarily let Bryan Danielson get away with that the entire match. They had Evil Uno fired up too. In terms of Bryan Danielson was fired up, that got Evil Uno fired up, and in turn, that got everybody that was watching that match fired up. I didn't necessarily, like, I like Evil Uno. I'm an Evil Uno fan, but I wasn't expecting this match to be as entertaining as it ended up becoming here. So I liked this. I think the way that they scheduled things for this added to the match, and it only benefited it so much more. We literally see Bryan just like slap him across the face, give him a good old disrespectful slap in the face. And for the finish, we see Bryan get him with a bunch of boots to the face like he normally does, locks a triangle in on him, and wins the match here. He then says post-match that he is going to take out every single member of the Dark Order before he gets to Adam Page, and therefore he challenges Colt Cabana for next week's Dynamite show, which will be taking place in Chicago. So that is some really good stuff right there. But let's see what you guys are saying, guys. I'm going to read some of your comments and then we'll move on. Carney Business says, such a great opener. Love how Uno got over in this match. Definitely got over. I mean, he's already over, but more so in speaking in terms of this match. Justin Martin says, I don't see it as a full heel turn. Danielson mastered floating between heel and face and ROH, depending on his opponent. Smart to have him do that with Adam Page. I feel like this was definitely a heel turn. I feel like, to me, that's what it felt like. And I feel like they should only keep it going and keep it getting stronger and stronger. So that's how I feel about that one there. Let's see what else we got here. MCAS Pito 64 says, Uno didn't do his usual comedy and was quite serious. I liked it, though. We got a super chat from Marquise Gunn. Thank you so much to Marquise, who says, had to stop by. Denise Dynamite was great tonight. Can't wait for CM Punk and MJF go back and forth on the mic. Super pipe bombs. Dude, I am stoked for this. And I freaking knew it, guys. I knew it. I called it. I told everybody, go back to my live tweets from AEW Full Gear. I said MJF is going to be, MJF CM Punk is going to be next. This is the direction they're going to go into. I just know it. Now for Darby, I didn't have a prediction for Darby, so sorry. But I definitely had a prediction for MJF, and they totally went there. Tony Khan, call me up. Call me up. Thank you so much to Marquise Gunn for sending in this super chat. Edward Gonzalez says Danielson is going to buzzsaw straight through the Dark Order, more than likely, may mean one along the way. Looking at you, Silver. Poor Silver. Poor Silver. Jesus. We got another super chat from Leonard Aarons III, who says, I fully expect Hangman to not only get a solid run as champ, but to knock off some big names in the process. Should end next year at Full Gear. You guys know how I feel about long title reigns. The longer, the better, especially because this is the one that we've been really waiting for. So it's like, let us enjoy it, you know? I'm thinking of the freaking song from Gwen Stefani that she does with, I think it was Missy Elliott, where she did the, it took a while to get me in, and I'm gonna take my time. Oh my gosh, that's exactly what this reminds me of. Thank you, Leonard Aarons III, for sending in that super chat. Let's see what we got here. Board Guy says, I think he loses to Page and then Omega beats Page in the rematch. Then Danielson versus Omega for the next title, but Danielson is the underdog, having beaten neither of them yet. We'll see what happens there. We'll see what happens. All right, guys. Purple Mercy says Kenny was just under a year reign, so I bet Hangman goes a year plus. Thank you, Brandon Rosen. It's Let Me Blow Your Mind with Eve. Thank you. I was trying to think. I haven't heard the song in forever, and that's the only part I remember. Thank you so much for sending the correction in for me. I really appreciate that. All right, guys. Apparently everyone got it. Okay, everybody got the song, so yay. All right, MJF, everybody. Let's move on to MJF here. We got a quick, very fired up segment from MJF, all right? This was good. MJF is sitting there, and this almost looks like this was shot right after his match, because he's got the big bruise on his thigh. He's all fired up. He's pissed the hell off. And basically, I loved it because it was very true to what a lot of people have been saying about him. A lot of people have been saying that, MJF is better on the mic than he is in the ring, and he can't go in the ring. And he was mentioning all of these people who fans have said, oh, they're such good workers. And he was tired of essentially not being named that people were just saying that he could only go on the stick and this and that. And now he's basically saying, like, now you guys should be mad because I could go in the ring. And then he makes fun of what he says, he said that he was getting all the cute little Mark chants. I thought that was absolutely hilarious. But I like this. I think that a lot of what he says rings true because that has been a lot of the commentary towards MJF has been that he can't necessarily go in the ring. And after that match with Darby Allin, I think you can definitely argue that MJF can go in the ring. So not only is MJF like the asshole that gets under your skin, now he's the asshole that is sort of proving himself, is proving you wrong and proving himself right in the fact that he can go in the ring. So I really like that. I really like the entire, this entire promo was awesome. We get more MJF later on, which we will talk about in a short moment here. And let's see what we got here. Justin says, I knew MJF would brag about winning the headlock takeover with the headlock takeover, but leave out the punch with the ring that, leave out the part that he had the ring on. Another outstanding promo. Really good stuff. Really good stuff here. Sour Machine Gun says, lots of Mark Smart comments tonight between him and Malachi. I think Mark is a funny word. I saw somebody call me a Mark today on Twitter, and I started laughing. I was like, yeah, I didn't see it. Like, I feel like Mark is such a lot of people see it like as a bad term, an embarrassing term. Nobody wants to be called Mark, right? I get it. I like to switch the meaning of it. I like to have fun with it. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on though. Let's get into the Butcher and the Blade versus Tomohiro Ishii and Orange Cassidy. Now, the one thing that I will criticize about this is that I was kind of bummed out that they didn't give Ishii his own entrance. He came out with Orange Cassidy, Rocky Romero, and all of that. They all came out together. I wanted to hear his theme song because I love his theme song. So I kind of wanted him to have his own entrance and his own moment. And I thought that he was. So when I heard Orange Cassidy's theme song, I turned around and I was writing something on my notes or writing something on Twitter. And then I looked back and I'm like, oh man, he's out there too. Shit. I was waiting to hear his theme song so that I can turn around and, get a little screenshot. So anyways, that was my one and only criticism there. But this match itself, it was pretty fun. It was an okay match. It wasn't like a blow-away match by any means, but it was very entertaining. You had Ishii and Blade essentially kick off this match together, literally drops him to the ground with just one punch. We then see the Butcher and Orange Cassidy get in there. The Butcher suplexes him. We then see Ishii and Blade get back in there again. Ishii's chopping the hell out of him. We see a suplex from Ishii to the Butcher, which was really cool because obviously the Butcher is no small guy whatsoever. Orange Cassidy hits a spinning DDT, goes for the pin, ends up getting a near fall. Ishii, oh shit, who did he strike here? Sorry guys, I messed up my notes. I put Ishii strikes Ishii. Ishii did not strike Ishii. Ishii ends up hitting the lariat on the Blade and then a brain buster on the Blade. And that is how he is able to get the win for his team. So overall, it was a decent match. It wasn't like anything for me out of this world, but it was definitely entertaining and it was nice to see. I know a lot of people were saying that they sort of felt a little bit underwhelmed of the match that was set up for Ishii, but I don't think so. I mean, at the end of the day, like, yeah, would I've loved to see him against Bryan Danielson? Hell yeah. But in terms of the actual, I just like seeing people that you never thought you would be seeing on AEW and all of these matchups that you never really were expecting to see. I like that. So I'm not going to be like overly picky about that. As long as we're getting these appearances, I think it's pretty dope. So let's see what we got here, guys. And this is a comment from Andrew Cook who says, first time I watched Ishii, I was kind of expecting more. See, that's the thing. If you are a fan, then you probably know that he can go. But if this was your first time seeing him and maybe hearing what other people were saying, I would say it was kind of not going to, like, it's kind of like when everybody's putting over a movie and then you watch the movie, but you kind of really didn't like it, or everybody's talking about a show, but you watch the one episode that necessarily isn't that great. I think that's what it is. it was a fine match, but it wasn't like the very best. Like, I would definitely suggest watching some of his other work because it is really great. Really, really great. And anyways, thank you so much for the honest comment here as well. And let's see what we got here. Okay, I'm gonna go. This is a funny comment. This one is from AFC in TP, who says, enjoyed Ishii having an existential moment mid-match. He does. I even took a picture of that for like a while there. I think he was getting chopped or something during this part, and he was just kind of like, just thinking. It was great. Oh, I loved it. He was having like he was lost in the moment, in some other moment. I don't know what moment that was, but it was fun. All right, guys, let's move on though, because we got several more stuff to talk about. But before I do move on, I do want to remind each and every single person here today that tomorrow morning at 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, I will be going live on this exact same channel to do some Survivor Series predictions. And I couldn't find a guest, so it's just going to be me. Well, it was too late. Let's blame Mike Sempervive, okay? I'm going to have to put Mike Sempervive here on the spot for a second. I reached out to Mike Sempervive to ask him to do Survivor Series predictions with me, and he took like 40 years to respond to me. And so he said no, that he couldn't do it. So then it was one of those things where I was like, damn. Now I took too long, and now I don't, and now it's too last minute to ask anybody. But so blame Mike Sempervive. Anyways, you guys can go ahead, and it's gonna be a fun show. Survivor Series predictions. We'll get in here. We'll talk about it. That's gonna be tomorrow, and then I will be back the following week to do my NXT shows on Tuesdays, Wednesdays Dynamite show, and obviously, wait, when's Thanksgiving? Oh yeah, when Thanksgiving's on Thursday. Okay, so Wednesday Dynamite, and then Friday, SmackDown and Rampage. So a lot of good stuff here. Sam3 says Semp is too busy openings soda cons. All right, guys, let's move on. Britt Baker. Britt Baker, Rebel, and Jamie Hayter are backstage with Tony Schiavone. Britt Baker's basically saying she's tired of carrying the women's division on her back. Tony Schiavone mentions Thunder Rosa's name, and they get mad that he is not allowed to mention Thunder Rosa's name in their presence. Good stuff there. Not much else to say about that. Let's move on to the TBS Women's Championship Tournament quarterfinal match. Nyla Rose versus Hikaru Shida. This was interesting, guys. This was probably, the one issue, I liked this match. So I liked the match, but I really thought Shida was going to win this match. I kind of thought it was a little interesting that they didn't have her take the victory here. I'm sorry, but I think I made this prediction that Hikaru Shida was going to defeat Nyla Rose, and I kind of just got stuck in that mentality of, oh, she's going to win. And going into this match, I thought she's going to win. And so when it didn't happen, it was kind of like, what? What the hell? Like, I was so confident that she was going to win that it really took me aback when she did not. Anyway, so Shida hits Nyla with a drop kick right at the top of this match. Commentary is definitely putting over the fact, and I should have known this. I should have known. The second commentary was putting over the fact that Nyla has never defeated Shida in singles competition. I should have known then that she was going to defeat her, but I still didn't know it then. Anyways, Nyla ends up getting the advantage because throughout this entire match, she kind of goes and attacks the right leg of Shida. So that ends up playing into the finish of this match. And throughout the entire match, we see her work her right leg here. Vicky Guerrero ends up getting involved here. She tries, she doesn't try. She successfully chokes Shida with the kendo stick when the referee isn't looking. And then there's a whole moment on the outside of the ring, which was really cool. I did like all of this. So Shida ends up setting up the chair on the outside, right? Because she's going to use it. But instead, Nyla places her on the chair and she starts chopping her like with her hand, right? With her arm, excuse me. So then Nyla Rose goes for a diving senton onto Shida, who's sitting on the chair. But Shida ends up moving out of the way, and Nyla just goes, and man, that chair just like boom, eats her alive. Shida ends up going for, she ends up hitting, Vicky Guerrero with the kendo stick, and that was pretty cool. I liked all of that. So she kind of got her revenge on Vicky Guerrero for Vicky Guerrero earlier choking her out with the kendo stick. But then we had Serena Deeb show up, and Serena Deeb ends up going in and attacking Shida's knee herself. That obviously just ends up helping Nyla Rose. Nyla ends up going for the beast bomb, but Shida turns it into a triangle. Rose ends up hitting her with a power bomb, and then we end up seeing Rose win via submission. So Nyla ends up taking the victory here. And now Nyla is either going to go on to face either Chris Statlander or Ruby Soho. And I'm pretty sure that it's going to be Ruby Soho. If it's not Ruby Soho, I'd be pretty surprised. And that's not saying I like Chris Statlander, but I'm expecting Ruby Soho to win that one. And I do hope that Ruby Soho beats Nyla Rose to move on in the tournament. So we'll see what happens there. Let's get some thoughts. How did you guys feel? Do you care that Nyla Rose won here? What are your thoughts? Were you as upset as I was? Did you not care? Send in your thoughts here. And I'm going to go ahead and pull up some comments here. Let's see. This one is from Question the Mark, who says, I actually want Deeb versus Shida again. Give me a 7-match series. They had a good match. I definitely would like to see them again. So I agree on that there. Then this one is from AJ Sen, who says, doesn't make sense for Shida to win. She has beaten Nyla like 300 times. And also we needed motivation for Deeb Shida rubber match. Yep, I get that. They're furthering the story with Deeb and Shida. Perfectly okay with that. But I was still set on it. All right, guys. I was still set on it. Justin Martin says, I'm disappointed Shida lost, but I understand the story with the knee injury and Serena Deeb interfering. Wrestle War says Shida was protected. It took a lot to beat her. Yep, they definitely did. They definitely did. Major Blood wants to know where Nyla's trophy is now that she has those 50 wins. And this is a comment from Andrew Cook, who says they freed up Shida for another match with Deeb and have a heel to face the winner of Ruby versus Statlander. Sounds like good booking to me, and we still have a great match tonight. It was a great match. I agree with that. I agree with everything you said, too, because we do have now a heel to face, most likely, Ruby Soho. And all right, guys, I think we're going to go ahead and move on to our next topic here. And the next topic that we got is more MJF, everybody. So if you are an MJF fan, this was a good night for you. We got a lot of MJF content. So this is fun. All right, let's get into this one. So MJF comes out. He's with Shawn Spears and he's with Wardlow. Oh, this one's really fun. Sorry, guys. I'm all like, this is fun. And then I remembered more and I was like, oh, this is more fun than I just want to emphasize that this was a really fun segment. Okay, MJF comes out. He's with Shawn Spears and he's with Wardlow. And Spears basically starts, okay, so MJF gives the mic to Shawn Spears. And Shawn Spears basically says that MJF could be any one of your heroes. And MJF would appreciate the silence from the fans. Okay, great. During this time, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to look at the screen and look what's going on. And Shawn Spears is basically being the mouthpiece for MJF during this, as being his perfect buddy, his BFF, etc. And in the background, you have Wardlow, who didn't say anything, didn't do anything, but with that, said a lot. He said a lot by not doing much. And they've been planting these seeds. We've been talking about it every single week with MJF and Wardlow. So we know that at some point, Wardlow is going to get fed up with MJF. He is at some point going to turn on MJF. I think it is very clear now. So as you're watching this, you're sort of seeing him be disinterested. He kind of has like a whatever face as he's there. Whatever. So we continue on and MJF starts bragging about how he's the best. But then CM Punk's music hits and I started celebrating because I knew it. Anyways, CM Punk comes out and he confronts MJF and people are losing their minds. I think the crowd was chanting holy shit or something. And they have this stare down and MJF says, hi, like I'm Maxwell. And he introduces himself to him like a gentleman, very nice, kind person, MJF. And then, so he extends his hand for a handshake and CM Punk does not give him that handshake. He doesn't say anything either, and then he leaves. So at some point, we are bound to get MJF versus CM Punk. Now, somebody asked me earlier, do you think that CM Punk should lose to MJF? And I will reiterate it again for those who weren't on here. If MJF is going to be Hangman Page's opponent at AEW Revolution, I do think that he should beat CM Punk and give him his first loss. But if he's not going to be Page's opponent at Revolution, if that's not going to happen, then they should have Wardlow cost MJF the match, have CM Punk win, and have MJF finally move on to that story with Wardlow, because they have been teasing it again for several months. So this was fun. I think that this is going to be very exciting. The promo work, Jesus. If we thought Eddie Kingston, CM Punk was good stuff, I can only imagine what MJF and CM Punk are going to work out. That's going to be some great stuff. I have a feeling that MJF he never holds back, but he's definitely not going to hold back with CM Punk. I'm pretty sure he's going to bring up some skeleton stuff. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. Let's see what we got here, guys. And let's see what we got here. Taylor Cannon says CM Punk and MJF on the mic. Oh my God, I can't wait. Zeno Hour says MJF was being a gentleman, CM Punk was rude. MJF is the baby face. I mean, in that moment, you can kind of say he was trying to extend the man a handshake. 554K says the MJF and CM Punk segment was awesome. I loved it. Sour Machine Gun says MJF called Spears a great friend and great accountability buddy. Wardlow definitely didn't take too kindly to that. Well, first of all, he didn't want to have an accountability buddy. Billy. Oh, that's a tongue twister. Moving on. Jamie Guillen says you can see MJF pissed that CM Punk turned his back on him. Oh, well, of course. Yeah, he's definitely going to be pissed off. Labor Day says, I would love it if Punk never gives MJF the satisfaction of a promo. No, because if CM Punk doesn't give MJF the satisfaction of the promo, he's not going to give us, the people, the satisfaction of a promo. And I need the promo work. So I'm going to say no. We need the promo work. We need it, okay? We need it. Carney Business says Punk just walking away from the handshake made me laugh. This feud is going to be awesome. And I like it too because he had extended that handshake to Eddie Kingston after their match at Full Gear, and Eddie Kingston didn't shake his hand. And then MJF tries to go for the handshake and CM Punk's like, nah. So I like that. I liked all of this, guys. This is going to be fun. This is going to be very fun. Now let's move on to the Acclaimed versus Dante Martin and Lio Rush. Max Caster's rap today was not really, it was like, okay, it was all right. Probably one of the best lines was when he said, funny, we're in Virginia and both of y'all are virgins, even though Lio Rush is a father. So maybe not that accurate. This wasn't like burn. That could have been a little bit better. I think the retirement line that he had used a while back was a lot funnier. But this one, wasn't that funny, but it was fine. Whatever. This match itself, guys, I definitely did not like it as much as the Dante Martin Lio Rush match with Lee Moriarty and Matt Sydal. I thought that match was way better. But either way, this match was still fun. We saw Anthony Bowens and Dante Martin kick off this match. Anthony Bowens, by the way, has just been tremendous. He has been on a roll. He's been really, really consistently just showing that he's not somebody to forget about. And he's been proving that each time that he's in the ring, he makes you pay attention to him and what he's doing. But as he's chopping him, Dante returns the favor to Anthony Bowens. And then afterwards, we do see Dante hit a beautiful moonsault on Bowens. And then Lio Rush does do a frog splash for the actual victory. Post-match, we see Team Taz coming out. They all come out. Taz offers his condolences to Lio Rush and his family. And then he still talks about offering Dante Martin a contract. And he's kind of telling him, make the choice. Like, hey, come on over to Team Taz. Ricky Starks basically tells him that they could be patient just like they were patient with Hobbs, and we'll see what goes on there. We'll see if Dante Martin sticks with Lio Rush or if he decides to go a different direction. I have a feeling that I have a feeling he's going to stay with Rush. I like them together as a team, and they are working together as a team. So I do like all of that. We got a comment from David Madison, who says the Top Flight Leo Rush trio is going to be insane. Question the Mark says, I like how the Acclaimed wrestle a little more old school and don't do a lot of flashy moves. Good counter to Leo and Dante's style. All right, I think I got a lot of these comments here. Logan Braddock says, well, that's because Matt Sydal is awesome. So it's Lee Moriarty, but I just thought Leo Rush shined a lot more during that match than maybe this one here. So that's the only reason why I kind of felt that match was a little bit better. But anyways, we're going to go ahead and before we move on to the main event, we're going to talk really quickly about the AEW Rampage lineup and the AEW Dynamite lineup. So friendly reminder, guys, that I won't be here this Friday because I am flying out to Texas. I am going to be working for Thunder Rosa's Mission Pro Wrestling. I'm so excited. It is going to be my first show. I will be doing commentary, and I'm so nervous, but I'm excited. I am new to commentary, so I'm going to be in the learning phases of my career as a commentator, but I'm very excited. As you guys know, I'm always up for a new challenge, and this is going to be a new challenge and a new chapter in my career. So I cannot wait to do that. But I'm really excited because I'm going to be doing that this Saturday, man. I'm so stoked. And then I got to fly back to Los Angeles and be here in time for Survivor Series, which I will be doing the post show on Fightful with Sean, and we'll be doing the Survivor Series post show. So that'll be fun. And then I will be back on here to do Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday post shows. Additionally, we got AEW Rampage this Friday, though. Darby Allin will be taking on Billy Gunn. We got the TBS Championship Tournament will continue. This will be Jade Cargill versus Red Velvet. I'm definitely expecting to see Jade Cargill get the victory here. Jurassic Express versus Adam Cole and Bobby Fish, which was announced tonight as this challenge was made by Adam Cole. So this is going to be a good match. I can tell you that already. It's going to be a good match. I'm looking forward to that one. Then we have the AEW Dynamite lineup for next week. So far, the day before Thanksgiving, we have Bryan Danielson versus Colt Cabana. Once again, that's going to be taking place in Chicago. We got the TBS Championship Tournament continuing with Thunder Rosa versus Jamie Hayter. And I really hope Thunder Rosa wins this one because I want to see her in the finals. Lucha Brothers, Cody Rhodes, and Pac will be taking on Andrade El Idolo, Malachi Black, and FTR. So it's going to be an 8-man tag. Should be a lot of good in-ring action as well, and a lot of storytelling bound to be occurring in that match. But now let's go ahead and get into the main event, everybody, because this main event was really something. Okay. First and foremost, I want to put over Sammy Guevara because this is now his third title defense as TNT champion. And I've been saying this from the beginning, but I've really been enjoying what he's been bringing to the table as TNT champion. He, defeated Miro in a really fun match. He just defended his title against, Ethan Page has already defeated his title against Ethan Page and has had really good defenses from there. Also defeated Bobby Fish. That was really good too. So now he goes into this match with Jay Lethal. And this one was up there because all of the matches have been good, but this one was definitely up there in terms of really good stuff. So this match kicks off with Sammy giving Jay Lethal a high knee right to the face. But the story of this match here too that we have to take note of is that Sammy Guevara has those injured ribs. So he's not necessarily 100% in this match. The ribs, the taped ribs and all of that is definitely holding him back in this match, but it plays a big role in the story in which they tell here. There's a moment where Sammy ends up goes for the shooting star press, but Jay Lethal gets his knees up, thus causing more pain on Sammy Guevara. Then Sammy Guevara causing pain on Jay Lethal. Afterwards, we come back from a commercial break. Sammy hits a Spanish fly. Then we see Lethal go for a tope, but Sammy reverses it and gets him with a brain buster. That was really cool. Sammy then hits a swanton. Lethal. Oh, this is a really good spot. So Sammy has Jay Lethal set up on a table. Sammy goes for a swanton, hits the swanton, but Jay Lethal moves the hell out of the way and Jesus Christ, Sammy nearly dies in this. It was such a good spot. Obviously lands hard on that table and breaks the table. So that was a really killer spot for Sammy Guevara there. Then afterwards, they get back into the ring. Lethal ends up hitting an elbow drop, but Sammy Guevara counters it. He gets him with a roll-up. You thought it was over there, but it ends up being a near fall. And then Lethal comes in, hits him with a clothesline, and then Sammy kicks him in the head. They continue on. They do so much during the finish here. You see Jay Lethal get the figure 4 leg lock on Sammy. Eventually, he gets out of that. Sammy gets him with like several knee strikes. I don't even know how many. I think there was at least 3 knee strikes, maybe more. And then Sammy hits the GTH for the win here. And this was a really, really good main event. Really good match, only furthering and making his TNT title reign that much stronger. So good stuff there. How did you guys feel about this main event? Let's get some thoughts here. And let's see what we got. We got so many different comments here. This one is from Dial, who says, I'm glad that Sammy brought back the open challenge theme. I like to see just random new people show up and challenge him. I enjoy that too. I enjoy that. And you can have that for a while, you know, they could also be telling, you know, more of a story with the TNT title bout. But I do appreciate seeing all of these different matchups. And that's the kind of things that, one of the things that I like, honestly. One of the things that I like. We got people putting over this main event for it being fantastic, for it being good, it being a hell of a match. Devil Within says the TNT Championship feels so special. So many classic matches already connected to it. Everybody that has held the TNT Championship has had very good reigns and very different reigns and consistently good matches. So I think so far everybody who's held the bout has done some good stuff with it. But there you go, guys. That was pretty much that main event there. And all right, I'm going through a couple more comments here. I'm gonna make sure I got everybody's comments before I move on. That was pretty much it. All right, guys. You know what? I'll read this one from Pomi, who says, that was probably Sammy's best title defense so far. Love how all the TNT champions have had several defenses under their belts. Agreed. Pretty much agreed. Alrighty, everyone. So there you go. That was my AEW Dynamite post Full Gear show. I appreciate you guys so much for coming in and chatting AEW Dynamite with me. Once again, I will be back tomorrow to do Survivor Series predictions. If you guys want to join that, it'll be a good time. But other than that, I will see you back here on Tuesday for NXT 2.0 coverage. And please make sure, if you haven't already, subscribe to F4W Online over on YouTube. Give this video a like. Leave a comment in the actual comments section so that it can drive the algorithm and have YouTube recommend this video to more people. Additionally, if you'd like to follow me on Twitter and or on Instagram, you can at _Denise Salcedo. Until next time, I'll see you guys later. Bye, everyone.